Hello and welcome to today's Sovereign CEO podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Ann, and this podcast is a podcast where we explore identity, gene keys, human design, leadership, and sovereignty, self-leadership. Today, I am coming on on an impromptu session because one of my audience, who I love dearly, just posed a really powerful statement, which made me pose a really powerful question. I made a post about Gene Key 24 and and also Human Design Gate 24. So where that lies, it lies in the head center. It's the other side of 61. So often when a gate is defined in our chart, the conditioning field of the other side of that gate, where that definition would be, is often where we get stuck. It's where our ego will identify with the patterning or the shadows and the gifts, and will identify with that, and we can experience the struggle, right? So with gate 24, the big problem is addiction. It's the gate of addiction. And it could be addiction to anything. Often, it's rooted in a it's like an attachment. It's an attachment to a pattern. So it could be a physical addiction, cocaine, food, sex, whatever it happens to be, that a pattern that has been created to create that sense of safety, which has become a familiar mechanism to avoid a deeper sense of uncertainty or a deeper nervous system wiring that has now become the baseline. The statement that my audience member made was, it's never easy to break patterns. And so this episode, I really want to challenge you to think about whether that is true for you. Is it true that it is difficult to break patterns? Or is it that when we are unconscious or when we are being driven by the lower shadow archetypes or survival archetypes, their power to keep us held hostage in that pattern is stronger than the ability to shift into a higher archetype? So what I mean by all of this is there are 4 shadow archetypes that every single human being on the planet experiences. And that is the child, the wounded child. The wounded child is characterized by a voice within you or a behavior within you or an idea that you need permission to do things, that you need to depend on others. It can operate in multiple different ways. Then we have the saboteur or the stroke logician. And the saboteur and the logician is all about control. They want to know every single step. They are in the realm of logic. They need to know why. They can't surrender and trust. It's a very controlling archetype that will keep you, and designed to keep you in safety, to keep you in the familiar. Then you've got the victim. The victim archetype is a very strong archetype in society where it's operating from the lens that they've been hard done by. There's a lot of blame and shame. There's no personal responsibility. There's no personal accountability. Life is happening to you rather than having agency. You feel very, very powerless. So when we're in the victim, we're feeling like things are always happening to me, or And so the question kind of is, why is this happening to me, rather than what's the lesson that's happening for me. So, there's a shift, a very subtle shift in consciousness, but it's ultimately rooted in a deep, deep, deep sense of powerlessness. And then you've got the warrior, sorry, that's the illuminated. And then you've got, where are we? So we've got the saboteur, the child, the victim. My favorite. The prostitute. So the prostitute is governed by this need to fit in, this need to be accepted. So she will sell herself. She will negotiate her own belief to be accepted, or she'll negotiate, she'll undermine her own boundaries, to maintain safety, whether that's within a partnership, to belong in a job. She won't stand up. She won't, the prostitute's going to sell herself out in some way. And that could look as innocent as not setting a healthy boundary with a partner or a connection that you'll have. It could be, and I'm looking from my own life experience. I'm looking at, you said that you're not interested in a situationship, but in order to maintain connection or safety or belonging or a sense of connection, you've entered into a one-sided dynamic that doesn't feel healthy or aligned for you. And you're betraying yourself, you're self-abandoning, because you fear that you're going to lose that connection. But what it is, it's not the connection, that you're going to lose. It's the belief that there's no one else. You're not going to be able to find somebody else, So there's that. Or when you find yourself, another way she could show up would be, I'm going to go and find a job because I don't truly believe that I could generate the income, because I don't believe that I'm responsible enough, or I don't have enough self-trust that I can actually command reality, or I can show up in a way that influences people enough to understand that I can solve a problem. And so therefore the value that I bring, I can have divine compensation for that, And so I'm going to, or, she will do something to sell herself out under an illusion and a lie, to create the familiar, maintain the familiar, or to maintain a sense of safety. So these 4 shadow archetypes are really the 4 shadow archetypes that are actually holding you in a pattern, because the voices that they hold are the ones that will keep you in the pattern. So let's come back to the question, are patterns in themselves difficult to break? Or is it something else? Now, I'm going to give you a load of examples from myself, because what I believe it's not the pattern in itself that is difficult to break. I believe that once you have made a decision, that you do not want to tolerate anymore the experience that the pattern itself is keeping you in, and how it manifests in your life, that is the moment it can switch in an instant. That is the moment, I call it a light bulb switch, where it just flips. And so what we're saying is that once you choose to select an identity that no longer tolerates the pattern will begin to dissolve. I used to take dexamphetamine, which is Adderall, for ADHD. Prior to that, many, many years, I took cocaine to work because I needed it to I needed it to work. And then I got the dexamphetamine, and that was from 2015 to 2019. And then I had my awakening in 2019. Overnight, that dexamphetamine stopped. Now, I needed that. I needed that to produce and to focus and to think. But actually, what I did, I transformed my identity from the woman who needed that into the one who could create. I used to smoke cigarettes. The moment I decided to give up, and I'm not saying it was easy, the cravings were there. But as soon as I decided that pattern, within 3 days, it was gone. Because because I no longer tolerated the version of myself that smoked, because it didn't honor the identity. It didn't align with the values that I wanted, the health of my body. It didn't. So a pattern as addictive as nicotine was able to flip just like that. And I did it twice. I did it back in 2011. I'd been smoking since I was 12. Don't know how old I was until 11. 28 maybe. And I decided, I remember sitting at a cafe in Portobello Road, and this guy came up and he was basically trying to sign people up to quit smoking on the NHS, which is our British health system. And I sat there, got a chill. I sat there and he said, if you give up, and we'll breathalyze you in like 30 days, and here you can have these like nicotine patches or whatever. And at that moment, it just was like, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm done smoking. This is not aligned with who I want to be, like how I want to feel. I didn't take the nicotine patches. I gave up there and then. And I went in that 30 days later or whatever it was. I got my breathalyzer and it was below 0. And they said, this is the clearest breathalyzer test I've ever seen. Even though I'd walked through Shepherd's Bush, and even the pollution was meant to give you some of this reading. So is the pattern hard to break? I don't think the pattern is hard to break when we decide we no longer tolerate that version of ourselves. And so what I'm asking you to consider today is, if I have a pattern that I'm now aware of, that I no longer wish, that is not true to who I am and in alignment with my values and who I say I am, is my the word I'm looking for, is my conviction and self-concept to meet the identity that I say I want, the who I say I am, can I be in alignment and congruent with that so much that pattern dissolves? So let's move forward, and let's go forward to the alcohol. Alcohol was another pattern that was being used by me to escape boredom, monotony, to create a different experience, and also a part of a broader pattern of avoidance and escapism. The lower part of me, the victim, the saboteur, even the child, were the ones keeping me in that level, that pattern of, oh, well, I can just have a day and I can just get drunk and I can just chill. And, it's okay because you're still producing, you're still doing your work. It's all good. Oh, alcohol's fine. It's fun. Everyone's allowed their vices. But it wasn't really good for my body. It was completely misaligned with the sacred temple that I truly value. It was misaligned with the way that I need to access my gifts. And was I really working at the level that I could be? No. What I was tolerating was subpar existence. I was tolerating hangovers. I was tolerating being below the standard. It was keeping me safe. It was keeping me safe from fulfilling my potential, keeping me safe from creating consistent revenue, keeping me safe from visibility. It was keeping me safe from the responsibility of showing up consistently daily to build the vision that I have. Many, many times I failed. Same with the other things that I failed. Well, actually, not really true. I failed to align to break the pattern, and the only reason it was different from the cocaine, from the dexamphetamine, from the cigarettes, was because my identity hadn't matched that version of me that was ready to release the pattern. The moment I decided this is not aligned with the woman whose body is a sacred temple, who is deep in her radiance, who is creating, is on track to create consistent 15, 20K months, who is leading identity shift revolution. It didn't fit for me. It wasn't aligned with my truth. And so the moment the decision came, because it came from an identity level, the pattern didn't exist. It dissolved. It was gone. And I want to share one more story about addiction for me, particularly with substance. And that was weed. Smoker from the age of 12. I went to Costa Rica this was 2019, having had my awakening already, got rid of the birth control, got rid of the dexamphetamine. Whew, chill. And by the way, I'm not advocating that this is your thing. This because I talk to people. I talk about souls from the goals from the soul. Don't follow anybody. Don't do things just because for you, it might be good for you to take birth control. For me, I went into a period of celibacy, and for me, I knew I did not want birth control anymore. It's got nothing to do with any kind of religion or rules or ideas. It's purely what my soul wanted. So I aligned with that version of me. Same with and if you're on medication for ADHD and it works for you, all good. But for me, I knew this was not for my body anymore. I did not want to live on speed every day. And so the weed. So as always, I brought with me like an ounce, and it was beautiful high grade, Jamaican high grade. And I built one night. I smoked it, beautiful. And I was in meditation, and it was like, it's done. It's like, this is no more. So I actually gave this big chunk of weed down to my friend who loved it, and I gave it away just like that. And that was it. The pattern, all those years, gone. I'm no longer a weed smoker. So here's my perspective on this. Yes, patterns keep us familiar. Patterns are designed to keep us safe. Patterns are there because they're actually masking a deeper root. There's something underneath the pattern that is being protected. And usually that's a pathway to your expansion. The moment a pattern can be broken pretty much instantly is when you make a decision. Number one, when you actually connect with the goals of your soul. So when you have a deep soul level desire, not from the mind, not from you think, not from being influenced by external forces, but when you truly come into what is it that I truly deeply desire and want, the goal comes from your soul. And when the goal comes from your soul, it means that you're already, because I also teach this in my identity shifting work, is that actually there are multiple versions of you already existing. So you're just operating on autopilot. That's the shadow, it's the victim, it's all these shadow like keeping you where you are. But when you get that call, you know there's more. There's a desire, like, I want a really healthy body, or I want to have like my psychic ability. I really want to trust that and work with that, or I want to have peak physical fitness, where you start getting those information from your dream state or your guides or your higher self, or however the goals of your soul comes through you. You make a decision. And when that decision is, I do not tolerate wasting days, feeling bloated, hungover, inconsistent, whatever it happens to be, that pattern will shift. And this is the work that I do. And actually, this is what I absolutely love to do, because yes, there are beliefs that can be recoded. Sometimes it requires some beliefs. Sometimes it requires nervous system calibration. Sometimes self-concept requires an installation of a new self-concept to keep it going. I'm not saying those things don't exist, because when it came to me transforming deep inner child patterns and deep patterns around my relationship with the masculine and ingrained patterns of showing up, that I actually go deeper into the receptivity codes, that took more time than the substance, quitting the substance. Now, the rhyme or reason behind that is multiple, and it's very specific to a person. So we'd have to look at, zoom in on a one-to-one and talk about it and identify what's going on. But when it comes down to it, the foundation baseline is identity. And once you make that decision, patterns can break very, very quickly. Now, anchoring in the pattern, installing the pattern, maintaining the pattern, the new self-concept, it depends on the situation. But ultimately, I believe that you can shift in an instant. Now, let me know in the comments your thoughts, your perceptions, your perspectives. Where have you found pattern shifting very simple, and where has it been a challenge? Because it's all about what you believe to be true for you.